start? I'll start. So you're driving.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Aurora Exascale computer dedication. Our program is about to begin. Please take your seats. Our program will begin in just a few minutes. Feel free to mingle. Good afternoon and welcome to the Aurora Exascale Supercomputer dedication. Before we begin, a few notes for your comfort. If you need medical attention, using your cell phone, call 630-252-1911 and your call will be answered by the Argonne Fire Department. You can also alert an Argonne staff member who will call for help. Restrooms are located on the west end of the lobby. In the event of a weather emergency, you will be asked to exit the doors at the rear of the room. Turn left and take shelter near the restrooms and the catering area. In the event of a fire or building evacuation, emergency exits are located along the east wall of this room and out through the lobby. You will proceed through the parking lot and assemble at the Argonne Welcome Center. Our ceremony is about to begin. Welcome.
Welcome to the dedication of the Aurora Exascale computer at Argonne National Laboratory. Thank you for being here. I see many friends from many colleagues in the audience, and all of you have really enabled the great success that we're celebrating today and the impactful science we'll do in the future. I am Paul Kearns. I'm the director of Argonne. I have the honor, the privilege really of serving as a laboratory director here at Argonne. And I could not be more honored than to host this commemorative event on behalf of the laboratory. First and foremost, it's an extraordinary privilege to have Aurora at Argonne. Aurora is a strategic national asset for America, and it's already helping us deliver breakthrough science for global impact. As one of the nation's first exascale computers, it has more than 1 exaflop of computing power, which means that it can perform more than a billion calculations per second. Some would say a quintillion. Aurora is one of the fastest and most powerful AI exascale machines in the world, which is an accomplishment all of us are very proud of. With its AI capabilities, Aurora plays a key role in advancing Argonne's leadership in scientific computing with benefit to society in science. Along with her upgraded advanced photon source, Aurora is empowering researchers to make discoveries at unprecedented speeds. But once took years or decades, can now be expedited in weeks or months. Aurora is currently optimizing nuclear reactors and fuels to power humanity, simulating quantum materials for national security, modeling drug interactions to improve cancer treatment, and accelerating fundamental discoveries across many scientific disciplines. This is the future of science, and it's happening here at Argonne. The ecosystem we're building around it will drive American competitiveness and spark discoveries that we have yet to imagine. Our science here will help us achieve our highest potential. That's why today we are celebrating Aurora and the people who made it possible. We're joined by key partners and supporters who helped build Aurora. But first, I want to acknowledge the incredible team behind Aurora's delivery. This achievement is the result of hundreds of people across the lab. Researchers, engineers, project managers, construction crews, procurement professionals, operations staff, safety teams, and many more. We're also especially grateful for the leadership of the U.S. Department of Energy, as well as our Office of Science leaders for the invaluable support. Sharon Susette is here, the Associate Director for OSCAR, as we say, Advanced Scientific Computing and Research. Frank Inez, the Federal Project Director, is here. And we have Whitney Begner Ramosi as well, the site office manager. So we're really pleased you're able to participate and want to acknowledge your contributions to the Aurora. And it's making it happen here at the laboratory. Aurora's construction also succeeded thanks to the support of our industry partners, Intel and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Today, we would simply not be possible without having such a strong set of partners with us every step of the way. Let me close my remarks by thanking all of you again for being here to help us celebrate this momentous occasion for Argonne and for the exciting future of science for our country. Next, we'll hear from the president of the University of Chicago, Paul Kearns. Our partnership with the university is our oldest and most impactful collaboration, spanning nearly 80 years. Their students and faculty come to the laboratory to use the ALCF, the Argonne Leadership Computing Facility. The University of Chicago has been a great steward of the National Laboratory, and Paul himself, as former director of Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory and the founding director of the Molecular Foundry, knows the importance of DOE scientific user facilities. He understands they enable new innovations across the scientific community. He also knows firsthand how impactful the relationships between the university, the Department of Energy, and Argonne are for fundamental research. So please help me welcome University of Chicago President Paul Kearns.
Thank you, Paul. And I just feel such a joy to be here with you today. The whole of the University of Chicago community is so proud of you, the Argonne community, and all the different parts of this community that have collaborated together to create this amazing machine. I just get so excited when I listen to Rick Stevens talking about this machine. But as a scientist myself, I just feel this moment. This is a very special moment to be a scientist. There is a profound change going on, and it's represented inside Aurora itself. We've been since Newton practically in this world where we're modeling the world with equations that describe the physics that underlies it. And of course, computing for all these generations that the department has led has followed that track. And now suddenly with Aurora, we see a machine that's equally adept at machine learning, at the ideas of taking large data sets and finding the vast correlations in them with neural networks. And essentially, we're at the dawn of the age of thinking as scientists with machines, where the machines are equal partners. And Aurora represents that moment. And I just think, some years from now, when we're celebrating the next computer, we will have looked at Aurora and said, it was right there at the right moment for seeing the incredible acceleration of science, whether it's in discovering quantum materials or drug molecules or understanding the cosmos at the largest scale. It's going to completely change the nature of science. So congratulations, and the whole of the university just feels such pride to be partners with you in this incredible project. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We value your leadership at the University of Chicago and appreciate the university's stewardship of the laboratory. I'm now pleased to introduce our two industry partners, Intel and HPE. Aurora wouldn't be possible really without them and their contributions. First, we have Chris George from Intel. As president of Intel Government Technologies, Chris drives innovation and collaboration with the U.S. government. His deep technical background and strong business experience provide exceptional insight for policymakers. Argonne greatly values the successful collaboration with Intel in accelerating exascale computing and is realizing the Aurora Exascale machine. This is a great example of how industry and national laboratories can work together to build the boundaries, to push the boundaries of science and technology. So please join me in welcoming Chris George.
Well, I wanted to focus on two general areas, looking back and looking ahead. looking back, as I stepped into this role about 1.5 years ago and came into what was already a multi-year project, I was asking our program manager before this about how many people hours do you think were spent from the Intel side? He was like, whoa, about 1 million. So it has been a long journey from Intel. It's been a long journey in partnership with many of you. And so I wanted to start by saying thank you, because we wouldn't be here without close partnership. The other thing I thought about in terms of looking back is how would I describe the Aurora experience? And I think I would describe it as type 2 fun. So for those who don't know, type 2 fun is something that's relatively unpleasant while you're going through it because it's so challenging, but pushes the boundaries. It helps you develop. And at the end of it, there's a tremendous sense of accomplishment. If I had to relate it to something that I've done personally, I'm a runner and I've done a number of ultra marathon relays. And so one in particular is a 220-mile race in Southern Oregon. I had the privilege of being one of the last people to carry the baton across the line for the team. It's kind of how I feel now. The team has put in about 219 miles, and I get to do the last one and say, great job, everybody. So again, huge appreciation to the team, including several of the Intel folks here in the audience. Thank you. In terms of looking ahead, we're just getting a glimpse of what this machine is capable of. My background is as a computational materials scientist. I actually got my PhD just down the road here at Northwestern, working for a great scientist, Mark Ratner. And I had no idea, a number of years down the line, that I would be here talking about the type of science that we're talking about. I'm particularly excited because when I look at what Aurora has, more than 10,000 nodes, more than 20,000 CPUs, more than 60,000 GPUs, that we have the ability to integrate AI in ways that even 5 years ago we wouldn't have imagined. When I think about personally the type of work I would have done as a material scientist, computational chemist, super exciting. And I am thrilled every time I see a new alert about a paper that comes out that's been done with Aurora. I'm like, all right, I got to read it. I got to see what's going on, because it seems like every week, every month, there's some new development, some new capability. So all that said, thank you. Very excited about the future and excited about the continued partnership that we at Intel have with our public as well as other private partners. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chris. Now we hear from our other key partner in Aurora, Trish Damgrover from HPE. Trish is Senior Vice President and General Manager for HPC and AI Solutions, where she leads the end-to-end project strategy and scaling of high-performance computing and artificial intelligence solution. She has over 30 years of experience in supercomputing and advanced research, including a leadership role at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. HPE and Argonne have a long history of working successfully together, and most of our machines are powered by HPE technologies. Along with Intel, HPE's strong partnership helped deliver Aurora, DOE's second exascale computer, to the HPC resource community. So please join me in welcoming Trish.
So thank you. It is truly a pleasure to be here. And as Paul pointed out, I have a long history in HPC and even a long history with this machine. Whether it was when I was at Lawrence Livermore and this was just being envisioned, or at Intel and we were going through the many iterations of what this would look like. But Rick, I think, and this was pointed out by a couple people, I think it's at the perfect timing this machine has come to fruition, because what was envisioned over a decade ago was this AI and modeling and simulation really coming together and creating a new science. And that's what you're doing. I mean, I just saw many demonstrations of it. So it's a super exciting time to be part of the high performance computing world, with AI becoming so integral into everything we do. And I think Aurora is the emblem, or like our driving force of pushing us. So HPE has been working with the Department of Energy and the national labs for many years. It's collaborated with the research and develop the state-of-the-art supercomputing that really pushes the boundaries of science. We have achieved incredible milestones together. As part of that, we broke new barriers in speed when we co-engineered solutions for the next generation, including Exascale. That significant leap of technology that we developed together has become foundational to unlocking new levels of scientific discovery worldwide. It has also become critical to new engineering possibilities with AI. This is all thanks to the strong private-public partnership with the Department of Energy, its laboratories, and our industry partners like Intel. As we celebrate Aurora today, we're also celebrating that deep collaboration among teams and the co-development of world-leading engineering. Aurora took a village of teams to design, stand up, and optimize, teams across Argonne, Intel, and HPE. I mean, imagine 300 miles of cables and over 80,000 endpoints. So from now, Aurora will help take that village of scientists to make those breakthrough and discoveries that will really have profound impact on us and all of society. I'm super excited to see what Aurora is going to do with the grand challenges like Candle, the cancer research, or even new materials or the cosmos. So we're truly honored to be part of this new chapter, and a huge thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Trish. I see another great partner here in the audience. I need to mention, power really is an essential element, an enabler of what we do here at the laboratory. And we're fortunate to have Gil Quiones from ComEd here, the CEO of ComEd. So Gil, thank you very much for being such a great partner and really enabling Aurora. Thank you. And we're going to change focus a little bit and share a little bit of science. Peter Coveney is here, and among his many roles, he's a chemist who is a professor of physical chemistry, an honorary professor of computer science, the director of the Center for Computational Science, and the associate director of the Advanced Research Computing Center at University College London. Peter is a longtime user at the Argonne Leadership Computing Facility and is already leveraging the AI power of Aurora. In his research, he is making discoveries for material science and medical science. Peter's modeling and simulations exemplify the new capabilities of Aurora that was not possible in the past. As the principal investigator of the CompBio 3 project, he is developing personalized digital twin of the human body. His simulation is replicating the entire cardiovascular system, which allows clinicians to make personalized predictions for treatment outcomes. So let's extend an Argonne welcome to Professor Peter Coveney.
Thank you very much indeed for that most gracious welcome and introduction. I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm here. You hinted at it already. My own work and collaborations with Argonne National Lab, I was thinking about it in the elevator as we were moving up and down to get to this floor, go back at least 20 years. Many people in the room know who they are, but the likes of Rick Stevens, Mike Patka, Ian Foster, and others I've enjoyed working with. But beyond that, I've enjoyed collaborations with a large number of US companies and universities over more than 30 years. And you'll know what happened in the last 30 years was the advent of parallel computing. And that's part of what I want to talk about as well, because Energy Secretary, you may be interested to know that during the 1990s, I worked for Schlumberger. Schlumberger is an oil field service company, and they were the first non-defense related commercial organization to buy a parallel computer. It was a CM5, a connection machine 5 from Thinking Machines Corporation. So that and the advent of supercomputing that followed with that, or high performance computing as it's often called, has already transformed science and indeed my own career with it. Supercomputing, we've heard a fair amount about it already, has allowed and allows us to perform high fidelity simulations of complex systems in materials and biomedical domains, have been alluded to, and I'll say a few more things about those later. Of course, for an audience like this, you're very well aware that with every generation of machine, we've been able to look at increasingly complicated, more complex, more realistic representations of matter. And we do simulations of these systems to study problems that can't necessarily be probed by observation or experiment, either alone or at all. In the context of this event, of course, the advent of the Argonne Leadership Computing Facilities, Aurora, brings us a machine now operating at the exascale. Machines of this scale and complexity allow many new things to be done that weren't possible before, even before one might start talking about AI. I mean, this is in particular the size of the machine, the architecture, the number of nodes, the heterogeneity, the ability to run huge number of things, a long way from what was happening in the late 1990s, where the paradigm case was a capability job that might run on the entire machine. Today, there are very few examples of that category that exist. So there's all kinds of patterns that you can use the machines to exploit. And I want to talk a little bit about those. Just as a flavor of this, for example, in my context of computational science, the catchphrase of my center there is advancing science through computers. So you'll notice that it's domain agnostic because the powerful capability that we have is the computer and what it's capable of dealing with. In the instance of materials, for example, we're looking at aerospace components that one would like to be able to design rather than empirically test for the capabilities of, which might be longer, lighter, stronger, and tougher than they were before for many obvious reasons. In the case of drug discovery and trying to come up with new drugs which will be more effective than was previously possible, these things are, as it were, incrementally on the cards when you go to a larger machine. There's some other things that really make a difference, and one of them is the concept of running calculations and of any kind which are what I call actionable. And that is that they produce predictions faster than observations or experimental measurements can be made, and that they come equipped or certified to be reliable enough for vital decisions to be taken. This is a domain that's nowadays called uncertainty quantification, or verification, validation, uncertainty quantification. Our own software developments there, I'm pleased to say, are being used on some of the leadership computing facilities already, because they facilitate the idea that I can do a calculation that has a direct consequence. It gets us away from always just looking at things of academic interest. So Aurora offers us these opportunities. If we're looking at drug discovery and things that are close, of course, to Rick's heart as well, we're interested in trying to do a lot better than is the current status in that industry. As you may be familiar, it takes on average 10 years. You spend $2 billion, and if you're lucky, 4% of the projects that get initiated lead to a marketable project. When that product, I should say, has been put in the market, it turns out very often, or it's seldom true to say that that drug is effective on more than 50% of the population at best, and often far less. What we have to worry about is that there aren't side effects that are deleterious. So there are all of these things we're interested in, but there's also a sort of growing excitement over what was alluded to by Paul at the beginning, and that's the concept of digital twin technologies applied in the medical domain. It's interesting to note that since I've been enjoying my visit here, which is of the order of 4 months duration, I've been respectively asked by one of the Nature journals, I think it's Digital Medicine, to write a piece on what it means to develop digital twins in medicine. And as I was flying back from London yesterday, I picked up a message from Nature Medicine to help someone else write the same thing. People want to understand what we're talking about here. It's about delivering truly personalized healthcare, building on everything I've said before, because we're capable of being able to deal with increasing complexity. And it's about controlling, in the first instance, our own medical data, not having it managed necessarily by other people or entities, and to use it to build what I said earlier are actionable and predictive models of our health and wellness. That means we can then use them in a sort of therapeutic sense, a personalized therapy approach to deal with stages of ill health, as well as to seek to keep us on a path of well-being. These models are critical to the success of a transformational approach to medicine in which we understand better what is going on, and we can then make actionable predictions that are relevant to you and not somebody else. All of this combines physics-based mechanistic models with AI, and artificial intelligence is essential here to get data together, to accelerate the calculations and make interesting discoveries of its own right. So I would just like to say at the end that Aurora is and will be at the forefront of this new transformation of science and engineering and technology. And I am very excited to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Our next speaker for today is Rick Stevens, Argonne's Associate Laboratory Director for Computing, Environment, and Life Sciences, known locally as CELS. He's also an Argonne Distinguished Fellow and Professor of Computer Science at the University of Chicago. He's been with Argonne since 1982. Rick is responsible for ongoing research in computational sciences, focusing on the development of AI tools and methods for a variety of scientific and biomedical challenges. He has a significant responsibility in delivering on the national initiative for exascale computing and developing the national initiative in AI. So I invite Rick to the stage to provide brief remarks on the extraordinary work of the team behind the Aurora construction project. So thank you, Rick, really for your leadership.
Okay, how many of you have heard of Aurora? How many of you helped build Aurora? How many of you have helped build the stuff needed to build Aurora? Okay. I'd like to say that I came here in '82 with the vision of this machine, but of course I didn't. I was a kid, 22 years old. I came here to work with Larry Wass, a blind mathematician who had grown up on the streets of Hyde Park and educated at the University of Chicago and the University of Illinois. Larry was amazing. He was a mathematician, but he was also a computer scientist. He was also one of the country's best blind bowlers. And I used to drive him back and forth to his place in Hyde Park as a kid. And he would sit in the car and he'd roll the window down and put his fingers on the window so he could feel the air as we were driving down I-55. Sometimes I'd stay over at his house when his wife was out of town. Larry led a group in automated theorem proving. Automated theorem proving at the time, in the early 80s, was an attempt to use computers to prove theorems in math, and that's why I came here. And that group grew, was very impressive. Rusty Luss, Ross Overbeek, Bill McCune, many people, most of them are gone now, passed away. During that time, we had this vision that was very complementary to the people doing numerical computing, people working on LINPACK, the Jack Dongeras, the other folks in the division who worked on solvers, the kind of stuff Peter was talking about. We used to actually have pins that had an anti-floating point thing, no floating point. We were all about logic. And we worked, for many years on this. And in the mid-90s, the AI world collapsed. It was the second of what were known as the AI winters. And at that point, we shifted to parallel computing, and we did lots of things. We built the community. High-performance computing became the new direction, became our new orientation. Parallel computing and science and so forth, and everybody worked on that for a long time. And around 2001, 2003, the Japanese stood up a really fast computer called the Earth Simulator, and it freaked America out. We were no longer #1 in computing. It freaked the DOE out. Now, we had been telling DOE for months, years, actually, this was going to happen. They didn't really get it until it was on the front page of the New York Times, the fastest computers in Japan. And all of a sudden, there was a panic to create a program. And in 2004, Argonne and Oak Ridge, Thomas Zachariah and myself, a bunch of us, some of you in the room, we wrote a proposal to DOE to stand up a leadership computing capability that would regain the title from Japan in the civilian science space. And That they got approved. Berkeley was invited to participate. It could have been 3 centers, but it was only 2. I had to arm wrestle with Thomas, who wanted all the money for Oak Ridge, but we persevered. In 2006, we stood up a machine here. We realized we needed a new building. Our buildings were too small. We actually repurposed a shed kind of on the south of the lab and built a building inside a building to stand up the first leadership machine. It was kind of hokey, but it got us there, got us going. In 2007, Thomas, Zachariah, myself, Horst Simon at Berkeley, we held the first Exascale town hall meeting. We rallied folks at Argonne, at Oak Ridge, and Berkeley around this idea of building an exascale machine. The country had not yet achieved petascale. Petascale was the goal after terascale. It goes megascale, gigascale, terascale, petascale, gigascale. Sorry, exascale. Country had barely achieved teraflops. We were talking about exaflops before we'd achieved petaflops. We were going in chunks of factors of 1,000. We held this workshop. We talked to DOE. DARPA said it was impossible. It was going to be a gigawatt of power to have one of these machines, but we persevered. In 2007 to about 2015, 16, we rallied the community for 6+ years until finally we got OMB and OSTP and DOE all at the same time to agree. And the Exascale program started. It had 2 pieces. It had a big hardware investment to build 3 machines, one at Argonne, one at Oak Ridge, one at Livermore. Those are the 3 Exascale machines we have now, back in 2015. And a huge software and algorithms and applications program that funded over 1,000 researchers across the DOE labs, academia, industry. It invested $500 million in many companies to build the precursor technologies. This was a massive thing, huge thing, biggest thing DOE had ever done in computing, $4 or $5 billion in total over 7-8 years. The whole idea was to have applications land at the same time the machine showed up. This was a radical concept because prior to that time, whenever we fielded a machine, it would take 2 or 3 years before the applications community, like Peter, actually Peter was always ahead of the curve, but others figuring out, oh, there's a machine, I should maybe figure out how to use it. But we knew this couldn't make any sense for Exascale. The country was going to move this fast. We had to have applications and software and the machines to land all at the same time. And that was a huge effort. But it was a blast. It was kind of like type 2 fun. I don't know, there was other kinds of fun in between there. We got permission from Barb Helland, Jaren's precursor, to stand up Aurora, or to start working on Aurora back. Actually, it was during the spring of the first Trump administration when the initial PBR was horrible and people were plotting doom and gloom, and Barb said, just go for it. So we started working with Intel on that. Now, in between all this time, we had to build a building. So I know Mary and maybe the trust is here. We used third party to build this building. It was a pioneering effort, really challenging to figure out how to do that, but we did it and we had to do it again to fix this machine. We have this machine. The near-term vision here is, as people have said, it's been integrating AI and simulation, to make some kind of discovery platform. But we need to imagine something actually much bigger than that for the future. When I came here in my 20s, I went to a lecture at Fermilab. Back then, if you were a student here at the lab, half the time you'd spend in your home division, the other half the time I would just go hang out in other parts of the lab. I went to physics lectures, chemistry, biology. Sometimes I was a heckler. I was kind of maybe like Chris, a bit of a radical, a little bit thrown out sometimes. But I go over to Fermilab, and Stephen Wolfram, who founded Wolfram, the Mathematica company, he was giving one of his early talks, and it was on cellular automata, these little things he'd invented, or he thought he didn't really invent them, but he was playing with them. And Stephen back then gave really interesting talks. They weren't like his current talks, but one of the things that he mentioned was Moore's Law. And we're just sitting there, and of course Moore's Law had been going on a little bit for a while, but it wasn't in popular consciousness. And I remember coming back from that, sitting in my office, and I would just work all night. I wrote a bunch of CA algorithms, reproduce all of Stephen's stuff, and it was cool. And then I sat there and just pondered the Moore's law thing. I said, well, what happens if we just keep doubling the speed of these computers? And I started plotting it out. I'm thinking, this can't actually keep going. And, you know, I said, well, it means that the future is going to be very different. We're going to have computers that are orders of magnitude faster. What does that actually mean? Well, between then and now, we've had over 43 doublings. You know that story people tell with a chessboard, and you say you put 1 penny on it, and in the second square you put 2 pennies, and then 4 pennies and 8 pennies, and you know, young kids don't understand that it's exponential, and you ask them, can you do the whole board? And they say, of course, but then of course it blows up, right? We're 43, 44 squares into that game, right? We're still going, right? Around 2012, AI came out of a long, long winter with ImageNet. AI finally, neural networks at the time, different from the kind of AI I was working on initially, but something we were very interested in. It beat humans in recognizing pictures and captioning them. And people that understood it realized this was different than what had happened in the past. We had an architecture that could scale. We had algorithms that were 25 years old, but they started working. And we had images or data like nobody had imagined because we had the internet. We're 13 years into the internet, or into the AI spring. It's still very early days, right? We've got to imagine another 10, 20 years forward, what is out there. We can imagine that we keep people talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence. People talking about superintelligence, right? These are all near-term things. People are talking about AGI by 2030, superintelligence maybe by 35. Machines that are orders of magnitude smarter than the smartest people. That could happen, right? One way that could impact everything is to greatly accelerate science, kind of what we're currently doing, just faster. But that's not sufficient. I think we have to reimagine, and actually Paul mentioned this in his starting remarks. We need to imagine fundamentally a different way of doing science, or maybe a different way of doing everything, where machines are our partners. Very capable, maybe much more capable than us in many ways, but different from us. We have to imagine that. There will be new roles for people, new tools, new infrastructure to drive all of this. The national labs have to lead in this effort, just like the national labs led the country and the world really in imagining and executing on big science, transitioning out of World War II. Before there was big science, after World War II, there was big science that came out of the labs. Manhattan Project 1, right? We're in Manhattan Project 2, maybe. We have to imagine what this is, this post-AI spring, really. DOE needs to lead the direction, needs to set the goals and priorities, and needs to orchestrate this transformation. So I was pondering that last night when I was supposed to be sleeping. And I was chatting with some AIs, of course. And one of my favorite quotarians, I don't know, people you quote from, I guess, quotee, is Oscar Wilde. And I found this quote. And of course, this was going to end the thing, but now Chris has Secretary has the last word, so maybe you can build on this. This Oscar Wilde quote says, "A dreamer is one who can only find his way by moonlight. His punishment is that he sees the dawn before the rest of the world." That is what we are about. We have to work at night. We get to dream. But our punishment / reward is that we see the future before everyone else. That must be our future, to follow that path. And all I can say about this event is mea culpa.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rick, and congratulations really on the accomplishment we're celebrating today. I also want to give a shout out to Mike Papka, the director of the Argonne Leadership Computing Facility, and Susan Coughlin, who's the Argonne project director. So. Fantastic team and great leadership as well. And now it is my privilege to introduce our final speaker for today's celebration. Chris Wright is the 17th Secretary to lead the U.S. Department of Energy. As Energy Secretary, Chris is focused on unleashing energy dominance and accelerating transformative innovations, strengthening U.S. leadership in science and technology. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Secretary Chris Wright.
Wow, inspired to be here today. Inspired and lucky to be here today. I loved Rick's words. He's inspired me all day talking about computing. And then he goes to Oscar Wilde. And of course, just a great quote and so perfect for where we are today. I thought of Oscar Wilde recently too, because my newest member of the DOE team, his name is Dorian. And I'm not good at remembering names, but I associate him with Oscar Wilde's great book, The Picture of Dorian Gray. So, Dorian. Look, to be here to christen Aurora is just fantastic. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. I'm so proud that the Department of Energy has 3 exascale computers. He talked about the competition with Oak Ridge and Frontier and El Capitan at Livermore. And this just incredible gathering of intellectual curiosity and drive and computation horsepower make our national labs just truly a national treasure. So my biggest message today is a giant thanks. And a thanks to everyone in this room, but to everyone that's in the Argonne family that's not in this room, but that every day is working hard to drive progress forward. That thanks is not just from me. That thanks, as of yesterday, is directly from President Trump. I was with him at an event in Pittsburgh. He rallied a bunch of people to come there and gave some impassioned words because he wants to see AI plow forward as fast as possible, doing everything possible to make the business conditions, the investment conditions, the intellectual atmosphere that people just lean in. When in doubt, let's do it. He announced yesterday $90 billion of investments just in the state of Pennsylvania to build the power infrastructure and the data centers needed to drive AI forward. Of course, it'll be in all states, but Pennsylvania is leaning in aggressively. The president is all in on the advancement of AI and sends his regards and patriotic thanks to everyone here at Argonne Lab for what you do. Thank you. Thank you. I want to go back, not from yesterday, but to the very early days. Argonne Lab, in my mind, it came out of the Manhattan Project. And frankly, it ultimately was launched off the work of one of the greatest physicists in the 20th century, truly, truly unbelievable scientist, Enrico Fermi. First pile, the first critical reactor of uranium to prove, yes, you can have a chain reaction, you can control it. We ultimately turned that to uncontrolled use during World War II, and I'll come back to that. But Argonne was founded for controlled use of Fermi's discovery in nuclear power, peaceful and in medicine, and in so many other critical phenomenon. I think that message at Argonne to take forward nuclear energy, and of course with Argonne West turning into Idaho National Lab, it's a family that's trying to drive nuclear energy forward. I'm very passionate about that. Nuclear was 6% of global energy in the year 2000. It's 4% today. How did we go backwards in the last 25 years? That's politics, that's fear, that's the things that always stop progress in society. But we need to push back and win that tug of war and really launch a nuclear renaissance. I believe we will in the next few years. I believe we will do that. In Fermi's time, of course, he left Italy in a time of political upheaval in Italy. Fortunately, he came to the United States before things really got ugly. But then he was here when the Manhattan Project was launched. I view it also as the start of big science, the start of what the national labs are today. In 28 months, think about that, 28 months, great scientists and engineers all gathered to design a critical device, an atomic bomb. You know, that atomic bomb and the speed at which it was developed helped end World War II earlier than it otherwise would have ended. No one knows, is that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of lives that were saved by bringing a quicker end to that war? Of course, we think of it as this horrible, powerful force, and it was a horrible, powerful force. But the net impact of that horrible, powerful force was to make a world massively more peaceful, massively more peaceful. The risk of violent death in the 80 years since the first explosion of an atomic bomb is the lowest it's been in human history. Yes, we still have wars and conflicts around the world, but they're not among the biggest and most powerful countries and nations anymore, as they regularly were throughout all of time. It ushered in a better world. And the fact that the United States led in the Manhattan Project and beat Nazi Germany to develop atomic bomb also transformed the world. We can't imagine a world today in which the United States was second. We didn't get there in time. We didn't develop an atomic bomb. I don't know what the world would be. It would be different. I think AI has some parallels to that. And I should point out as well, back to that, the Trinity test, the first nuclear explosion, was 80 years ago today. Today is the 80th anniversary in Alamogordo, New Mexico, of that Trinity test. Los Alamos National Labs, Fermi Labs, Oak Ridge National Labs, they were a continuation of this grand group scientific achievement and have just led to tremendous advancements. Let me zoom in on where we are today and why Aurora and why Argonne. And it's artificial intelligence. It's going to impact everything, so I don't think of it as one field or one science. It's a tool that empowers us to do everything we wanted to do better, stronger, faster, smarter, safer. But artificial intelligence was talked about when I was in college. Going to change the world. Computers are going to be humans. And well, computers were tools and they did math faster. But we didn't see artificial intelligence really until recently. But we've hit that critical moment now where computation power is so strong that it really can do human-like tasks. And the next 3 or 4 years, I think, will be the greatest years of scientific achievement in my lifetime. I always regretted I wasn't around in 1905. I mean, Einstein's achievements in just 1 year, just unbelievable. You think from the late 1800s to 1930, the revolution and our understanding of the world were awesome, but I wasn't around then. My mom wasn't around then either. But we're all around today. We're all around today. And the work you do and your colleagues in the next few years, they're going to change the world. They're going to change the futures of your lives, of your children, and of your grandchildren. But there's a national security implication of AI that also means we can't get second. We can't be doing well but not great in artificial intelligence. I love to celebrate the economic, the lifestyle, maybe most of all the scientific advancements we're going to get with using artificial intelligence, but it's going to have massive national defense implications as well. It's critical that the United States maintains a lead there for our national security and for the national security of the world. The United States has never been an expansionist power. We want peace. We want prosperity at home and peace abroad. Again, aligned with President Trump's agenda. We need to lead in artificial intelligence. What does that mean? It means we need the passion of Rick and the team here in the labs driving forward what we can do with artificial intelligence and how to develop it, how to shape it, how to mold it, how to drive it forward. We also need energy. You know, it's one of the things you see about these systems. Computer guys didn't care about energy that much in the early days. Today, maybe the biggest constraint in where AI goes faster and slower is the development of energy. Nations or states that have had restrictive and unproductive energy policies, if you've made your energy expensive and less reliable, as again, too many awesome intellectual and historical powerhouses in Europe have done, we don't want to do that in the United States. The last 4 years, we really went into an energy is bad. Hopefully it's going to peak. We don't like most of the energy sources. We hope we'll get more out of these energy sources. That's just not a productive way to improve human lives. And it's certainly a guaranteed way to not lead in AI. I'm very thankful for President Trump. He's an East Coast real estate developer, not an energy nerd like me or scientists like others in this room, but he instinctually gets that energy matters. If you get energy wrong, nothing else matters. If you get energy right, the world is your oyster. Freedom and opportunity are opened. We want to lead in artificial intelligence. I'll swing back to one thing we want to see from that. What can we get out of AI on the scientific front? I saw a good bit of that today. The mapping of proteins and understanding microchemistry in our bodies. One of the things I'm extremely excited about is I believe not too far in the future, and Rick and I talked about a specific project on that, not too far into the future, if we're wise and lean in, cancer will become just a manageable condition. What is it? What do you have? Let's analyze your genes. We're going to find out the solution, and we're either going to kill it or you're going to maintain it. It's not going to be the death sentence that it is for just tens of millions of people every year on our planet. That is transformative to use AI for that tool. In fact, I think back, if 80 years ago we had those tools yet, Enrico Fermi wouldn't have died at 53 years. What we've gotten with another 30 years of Fermi, hard to imagine, but it would have been awesome. It would have been awesome. I want to thank everyone here. And the last thing I want to say is a lot of people fear AI, and I get it. New tools are scary, and the most natural reaction to new technologies is going to take my job away. It's going to take my job away and make my world worse. That's entirely natural reaction, understandable reaction. 200 years ago, 80% of Americans worked on the land in food production. Today, 1.7% of Americans work on the land in food production. We produce massively more food, but we have less jobs for farmers. That was disruptive. But of course, there's an unlimited use for what human skills and human talents can do. It's really just an increase in productivity. We lived to 73 years as global life expectancy today, and 200 years ago, it was 30. So there's more benefits from disruption than there's negatives to it. And we need to remember that. And AI, I think, will be uniquely powerful, and that's going to lift everyone up. It's going to make everyone's skills more valuable. It's going to bring better opportunities of life, longer and healthier lives, and it's going to make you have a broader range of dreams that you can achieve. AI is different too. It may compute faster than us. It may do science faster than us, but AI doesn't have a conscience. AI doesn't feel love. AI doesn't have compassion. AI doesn't have inspiration, doesn't understand beauty and what moves our soul. Artificial intelligence isn't humans. It's a tool to make humans more powerful and grow their dreams and grow their achievements. God bless everyone here at Argonne National Laboratory. I wish all of the great scientists and leaders here to take this phenomenal Aurora tool and simply make the world a better place. I'm going to be cheering for you every day along the way. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Secretary Wright. It's wonderful, really, to have you here. Thank you for being so generous with your time in terms of seeing the laboratory, having conversation with researchers that are leaders and participating in the dedication. Tomorrow, Secretary Wright's going to join us at what we call the AI and nuclear energy smash up, where we're pulling the two communities together to really think about how we can really use nuclear power to really enable artificial intelligence, but also how we can use artificial intelligence to really accelerate the deployment of advanced reactor technologies. They're headed off to position themselves for the ribbon cutting. And so let me just go ahead and wrap things up here, and we're going to show a little bit of a video, and then we're going to have a nice reception. So, but really, let me say thank you for being a part of this milestone moment for Argonne, the Department of Energy, and the future of scientific discovery. I do appreciate really all of our speakers, partners, and guests who joined us today, including Secretary Wright and the Dewey delegates that he's brought with him, leaders from the Office of Science, our partners from the University of Chicago, Intel, and HPE, and our Argonne colleagues. Aurora is more than a technological achievement, it's a strategic asset. By harnessing the power of exascale computing and AI, our new system gives researchers across the country a critical tool for tackling big questions in energy, medicine, and materials. It reflects our commitment to building dynamic ecosystems that bring together technology, talent, and purpose to advance discovery and benefit society. Got the video?
We don't ever really answer a science question and ask a simpler one afterwards, right? Science gets more complicated and we ask more complicated questions and we want more advanced things, right? We want better medicine, we want better batteries for our phones, we want improvement, right? So in order to do that, you actually need a system today that's not only as capable as Aurora is in terms of computation, but as capable with AI as Aurora is.
One of the things that you have to understand about a large specialized supercomputer such as Aurora, you can't go pick it up at Best Buy. It takes engineers, scientists, system administrators, management. We had hundreds of people working on this project to make the system of this scale, this complexity work well and smoothly so the users can just use it. Being able to stand up a machine like this is a real pleasure.
Aurora will be able to combine high speed, high performance AI, simulation, and in some cases incorporation into complex workflows that are really what the future of computational science looks like.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about now that Aurora's entered production is the ability to get any and all users on the system. That allows for an endless amount of possibilities.
Having access to this AI hardware is really important for the research community so they can experiment and play and learn it. We want individual researchers to be able to progress as fast as they can think, not as fast as their computations are.
We're trying to use AI in our research to really advance our cancer models and allow us to understand, the trajectory of cancer cells, the effect of different properties of the cancer cell, like its size, its deformability, to build patient-specific models to essentially create a digital twin of the human that physicians can use to find disease and diagnose disease better, track the patient over time when they're not in the physician's office, and inform the treatment of disease. So it's allowing us to interact with this data in a way we never could have before. And just in general, it's a lot of fun to play with the world's biggest supercomputers and see what you can do with that. So we get to do a lot of exciting things through this research.
The cosmos was the first thing that humans ever really studied systematically. We see obviously the sun and we see the stars and they move, and the fact that they move in regular patterns is how people actually started thinking about science. The fact that we have computers large enough now that we can actually put in the equations that describe how the universe should evolve and compute them is really quite remarkable. One of the very exciting aspects of exascale machines, and Aurora in particular, when something's become very complex, often you don't really have a good idea of how to analyze the data without using artificial intelligence and machine learning methods. And because Aurora has 60,000 GPUs, we can actually apply these extremely powerful techniques. The fact that it's a compute engine, the fact that you can do data-intensive science on it, and the fact that it's an AI/ML machine make Aurora extremely useful for us.
Fusion research is to create almost perfect energy source. It's safe, and also the energy source can last almost forever. And it's a very ideal energy source for mankind. AI, machine learning, is expected to play an important role in our simulation. Number one, there are places in our kernels, in the computational kernels, where we think those kernels can be replaced by trained AI models, machine learning models in there. And those are expected to be much faster, much simpler. If we can cut the simulation time by half on Aurora, think about the savings you're going to have.
I try to simulate materials on a computer. So I'm able to build materials atom per atom or electron per electron. But instead of doing it on a bench or experimentally, we do it at the simulation level. We can really analyze all their properties. We can change things. We are building something, or at least we understand how things work. The power of doing it on a computer gives us the whole freedom of taking risks and one of our biggest challenges was, do we do something that is very accurate but perfect, which is not the nature of life, or do we do something that is closer to life but not so accurate? Aurora really is that bridge that connects this high accuracy requirement and real life type of simulations. This new system allows us to dream a little further. It is going to allow us to study so more complicated things. All the things that we were always told, this is too large, it cannot fit in the system, we cannot study it because it's impossible. Now we can.
Thank you for attending the Aurora dedication ceremony. Please join us for a reception.